Hey, Blake T. Wild here, and I love to collect action figures, toys, collectibles, whatever you want to call them. I also love Ghostbusters and had that love reinvigorated when Frozen Empire was released and I spent $80 on an Ecto-1 and Stay Puft popcorn buckets. And then, of course, I had to get the Ghostbusters Plasma series. I had to finish off that collection because I only had the base 4, but I wanted them all. I just love the process of making things. It's so satisfying. I've always had this creative obsession, and there's nothing bigger in my childhood, except for maybe Men in Black, that ignited that creativity of design, sculpting, and creatures than Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, and eventually Ghostbusters the video game. I remember watching the behind-the-scenes clips over and over again, watching the movies over and over again, and when I was 10, I even sculpted a 7-inch Slimer bust out of modeling clay because I was so obsessed with it. Which is why, once I realized just how lacking the Ghostbusters Plasma series from Hasbro is, yep, that's all the figures they released. Combined with how much they could have done. Not just for the characters, but for the ghosts and monsters from all various Ghostbusters media, I decided I would do it myself. And here is where this project begins. Dana Barrett, Louis Tully, Janine Melnitz. Dana Barrett began life as a Marvel Legends Michelle Jones from the Spider-Man No Way Home series, with a Ghostbusters Plasma series Dana Barrett head, which I repainted and dremeled to fit atop the neck peg of the slightly larger scale Marvel Legends. Dana is definitely one of the simplest figures I've ever customized. The Keymaster himself, Louis Tully, started as a Star Wars The Black Series Episode 4 Farm Boy Luke Skywalker body, with the legs swapped out from the Hasbro Indiana Jones Adventure Series Renee Belloc, and a custom Rick Moranis 3D printed head. Which, I'll admit, it is a bit too large for that small frame of the Luke figure, but I think it adds a bit of flair to the general idea of Louis as this small, scrappy little guy, and it just looks fun to see it on display. And finally, where would the Ghostbusters be without their faithful receptionist? Probably unemployed. Janine Melnitz was the most helter-skelter creation of this trio. I initially planned to use a Marvel Legends America Chavez body with the Eternal Sprite figure's head and G.I. Joe Classified Snake Eyes movie Baroness's glasses. Unfortunately, the America Chavez was far too large to be Janine, so only the upper torso and arms down to the elbow remained her, and the rest of the lower body and forearms were from a Star Wars The Black Series Episode 2 Padme Amidala. There's no worse critic than yourself, and this is doubly true for myself. It has been years since I've actually worked on and created a custom 6-inch action figure, maybe like 5 to 6 years. And the last time I did it, it definitely wasn't as labor-intensive as Janine or Louis. There were so many times where I just stopped and looked at what I had made and thought, is this even worth sharing? Why am I bothering? This isn't on the level I want it to be. But then I stopped myself from that line of thought. I just needed to learn how to ride the bike again. Learn how to mix skin tones, how to sculpt with epoxy again, how to properly apply paint layers, how to stop my damn rickety hands from shaking so darn much. I wanted to attempt something that I see a lot of customizers do, which is where they retain all of the articulation, and it looks like a figure straight from an official factory floor. But then I realized that I'm a grown man who collects action figures. I'm not gonna be playing with these. I'm gonna put them in one neat pose, and then I'm just gonna look at them. Especially just these generic, sort of boring human characters. Because I knew that this was just a way to ease myself back into action figure customizing, and that the real fun and challenges would come later in this Ghostbusters project. Here's a sneak peek of what I'm working on next.
Come in, Ray.
Pinkman! I saw it!
It's right here, Ray. It's looking at me.
He's an ugly little spud, isn't he?
I think he can hear you, Ray.
Don't move. It won't hurt you.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a ghastly thumbs up. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Are you a Ghostbusters fan? And if so, have you dove into the Ghostbusters Plasma series line? Do you collect action figures? Do you customize action figures? As always, follow me on Instagram at NotBlakeWild. Check out my Patreon for behind the scenes of this very project, as well as serialized comics created entirely by myself, early access to videos, movie commentaries, discussions, and more. And I'll see you next time. Bye.